Hi friends, welcome to our channel. In this session we will discuss the concept of process scheduling. Okay, before going to scheduling, first of all you have to know multi-programming. What is the main objective of multi-programming? The main objective of multi-programming is some process running at all times. That is, at least one process use the CPU at all the times. That is simply the maximize CPU utilization. To maximize CPU utilization. It is the objective of multi-programming system. Suppose if you consider a time shared system. What is the main objective? In time shared system, the CPU time is shared among the processes so frequently. The CPU time is shared among the processes so frequently. That means, so share of CPU time, that is, by sharing the CPU time, the users interact with the process. While it is executing. That means after completion of one part, we move to second process, and the first process is viewed by the user. That is, the objective of time sharing system is to share the CPU among the multiple processes so frequently, that is, the users can interact with the process while it is executing. Now what are these two objectives? Mainly these two objectives is a process running at all the time and you have to utilize the CPU. Now come to the point of scheduling. What is the scheduling? For example, we have multiple number of processes. If we have multiple number of processes, among this multiple number of processes, we have to select a process. That is, we have to make a decision. Among the multiple number of processes, we have to make a decision which process we have to select and which process we entered into the execution mode. This selection is carried out by schedulers. So whatever the operating system we are taking, what is our main aim? Main aim is we have to select a process and allocate the CPU to that process. Okay. Before going to the schedulers, who perform this task? Schedulers. Before going to the concept of scheduler, I will explain one more point. That is queues. Called scheduling queues. These are the queues that are present in the system. We have three types of queues. Job queue, ready queue, device queue. Three types: job queue, ready queue, device queue. Whenever a process enter into the system, that process is placed into the job queue. Okay, a process enter into the system, that process is placed with job queue. Now ready queue means contains some set of process ready for execution and waiting for CPU. Simply, the processes ready for execution. And waiting for CPU. All those type of process are placed in ready queue. Device queue means the processes that require some device operations. For example, a process requires an IO operation, placed in an IO queue. If requires some printer, placed in printer queue. Mouse, if it requires a mouse, placed in mouse queue. Each device maintains a separate queue. Simply, the set of process requires a device. Those are placed in device queue. That means, see the point, whenever a process enter into the system, all the processes are placed in the job queue. All the processes are placed in the job queue. From this job queue, we are selecting some set of process, and those process are placed in the ready queue. That means ready queue contains the set of processes that are ready for execution and waiting for CPU only. Next to device queue means a process request for a device. That is, device queue contains the set of processes that are requiring for device. The set of process that are requiring a device. These are different types of queues. Now you will see the queuing diagram. You will see the queuing diagram. Queuing diagram is first ready queue. So from the job queue, here we have some set of jobs. From the job queue, some set of process are placed in the ready queue. The set of process are placed in the ready queue. Now among the process, we have select one process and allocate the CPU to that process. What is the concept? Among the ready queue, we have many number of process. Among the process, we are selecting one process, and for that process we are allocating the CPU. And whenever a process gains the CPU, it performs its execution. Suppose if it completes its execution, so no problem, that is end of a particular process. But during execution, if a process is under execution, there are different cases. Okay. For example, during execution, if a process requires an IO operation, so those are placed in IO queue. So simply a process required some IO request. Process requires IO request, they are placed in IO queue. Okay. After that, suppose if IO handle, that is, if our requirement, that is the process requirement is handled, that is IO operation is executed, then the process entered into ready queue. Then the process again enter into ready queue. That is, during execution, if a process request for an IO, that process enter into IO queue. Now IO queue contains a set of process that are request for an IO. If IO handle, that is that request is handled, again that process is placed into ready queue. Or one more chance is time slice. Suppose if you are using time sharing system, each process has a time. After completion of that time, each process has a time. After completion of that time, automatically we are switching to some another process. That is, whenever the time is completed, again that process is entered into ready queue. Again that process is also entered into ready queue. So one more variation is during execution, suppose fork a child process. That is, if a process creates a child process during execution, a process creates a child process, that is called a fork. Simply what happens? The child process is created, and after completion of the child process, again move to ready queue. Okay. And one more thing is interrupt. What do you mean by interrupt? Interrupt means, suppose a process is execution. If an high priority process comes, okay, what happens? The low priority process is placed into the ready queue and high priority process performs execution. This is queuing diagram. That is how different queues are used during execution of a process. What are the different possibilities? During execution, these are the possibilities. Request for an IO, or a time slice, that is the allocated time is completed, or the process wants to create a child process, or if a high priority process comes, stop the execution of low priority process. These are the different variations. These are different queues. How process are stored in queues during execution. Now what is our next point? Our next point is we have to select the process. That is, we have a set of process. Which process are placed in the ready queue? Which process is placed to IO? All these things. So next we will move to schedulers. Process scheduler. What do you mean by scheduler? Scheduler selects a process for execution. Scheduler selects a process for execution. We have three types of schedulers: long-term scheduler, short-term scheduler, and medium-term scheduler. Okay, what is the main purpose of scheduler? Scheduler makes some decision for selection of a process. We have three types of schedulers: long-term, short-term, medium-term. Okay, very simple diagram. First, whenever a process enter into the system, that process is placed in job queue. That process is placed in job queue. Now, what the long-term scheduler do? The long-term scheduler do the process from the job queue. We are long-term scheduler selects some process from the job queue and are placed into the ready queue. Placed into the ready queue. That is simply whenever process enter into the system, they are stored on some disk. That is job queue. Among these job queue, this long-term scheduler selects a set of process, and the set of process are placed in memory for execution. That is, they are placed in ready queue. This is the purpose of long-term scheduler. Now, what short-term scheduler do? Short-term scheduler, among the ready queue, suppose ready queue contains some set of process. Among the ready queue, select the process and allocate the CPU. Select some process and allocate some CPU. These two are long term and short term. This is a completely different one. We will discuss later. First, these two, long term and short term scheduler. So job queue, from job queue to some process are placed in ready queue. From among the ready queue, select one process for the CPU. So now observe the main difference between long term and short term. The job queue, the size of job queue is very high compared to the size of ready queue. Why? The job queue contains all the processes in the system. Ready queue contains only some set of process. And the long term scheduler is infrequent. Short term scheduler executes frequently. Why? Why short term scheduler executes frequently, long term scheduler executes infrequently? So why means, once I am selecting, for example, assume job queue contains 100 process. Once I am selecting among this 100, 10 process into the ready queue. So my step is completed. Now ready queue contains 10 process. The CPU is switched among the 10 process. That is, each and every time short term scheduler select the process and allocate the CPU. Suppose if high priority process comes, allocate the CPU. So the CPU switches among the ready queue and CPU. Here the short term scheduler selects a process from the ready queue and allocate the CPU. This process is repeated multiple number of times. For example, if you are using time sharing system, after completion of time slice, again the process is placed into the ready queue. Now short term scheduler again selects one more process to the CPU. Okay, that's why short term scheduler is most frequent. Long term scheduler, once we are placing in ready queue, the task of long term scheduler is completed. When long term scheduler again done, whenever a process leaves the system, that is, its complete time is completed, that is, its total execution is completed, then long term scheduler selects one more process into the ready queue. Okay, whenever the process completely executed, then only the long-term scheduler selects one more process into the ready queue. That means the long-term scheduler maintains degree of multi-programming. That is, long-term scheduler specifies how many number of programs are in execution. How many number of programs are execution, that is specified by the long-term scheduler. This is long-term scheduler and short-term scheduler. This long-term scheduler is also called as job scheduler. Is also called as a job scheduler. Short-term scheduler is also called as a CPU scheduler. Is also called as CPU scheduler. Now coming to medium term scheduler. Okay, generally this medium term scheduler is used in time sharing system. Medium term scheduler is used in time sharing system. Time sharing system is, suppose see this one, a ready queue. So I am selecting a process and allocate the CPU. Generally from the ready queue, select a process and allocate the CPU. Okay, suppose if a process wants to perform some other operation, or if there is overload on the memory, if there is overload on the memory and that process is not executed at that particular time, what we are doing? Simply we are performing swap out. That is, we are removing that process from the memory. We are executing one process. During execution, suppose if that process not required of CPU, or if any high priority process comes, we are allocating the CPU. That means there is a overload on the CPU, that is overload on the memory. Then what the medium term scheduler do? Medium term scheduler swap out the partially executed process out of the memory, and whenever required perform swap-in operation into the ready queue. Whenever required, perform swap-in operation on the ready queue. Observe here what we are doing. We are performing swap out and swap-in operation. Okay. Suppose if it requires for IO operation, simply what happens? Placed in IO queue, handles the IO request, again placed into the ready queue. This is the medium term scheduler. In simple term, medium term scheduler performs the concept of swapping. That is, swap out a partially executed process, and whenever required, we swap in that corresponding process into the memory. Swapping that process into the memory. Okay, these are three schedulers that are available. These three schedulers that are used by this operating system: long-term scheduler, short-term scheduler. Generally, this medium-term scheduler is used in time-sharing system. Medium-term scheduler is used in time-sharing system. Generally, long-term schedulers are not used in time-sharing system. Why? Because generally, long time-sharing system, all the process enter into the system or use the CPU. That is the reason most of the cases long-term scheduler are not used in time-sharing system. Medium-term schedulers are used in time-sharing system. Okay. Now I will explain one of the very important point. Long-term scheduler selects a process and places it into the ready queue. We know that one. Select a process from the job queue and place into the ready queue. So before going to that one, I have 2 points: CPU bound, IO bound. What are the meanings of these two terms? A process is a CPU bound process or IO bound process. CPU bound process means the process doing its most of its time on computations. A process spends most of its time on doing computations, that is usage of CPU. IO bound process means spends most of the time doing IO operations. A process spends most of its time doing IO operations. It is a CPU bound and IO bound. That is the difference. A process uses more CPU, that is CPU bound, compared to CPU. If a process requires more operation, then that process is called IO bound process. Now, which process have to select for execution? The long-term scheduler has select some process and placed it to the ready queue. Now, which process has to selected by the long-term scheduler? CPU bound or IO bound? For example, if you are selecting CPU bound process, what happens? If you are selecting CPU bound process, all those are placed into the ready queue, and the short-term scheduler runs more frequently. Why? Because that means all the processes are CPU scheduler process, all the processes are ready for execution. So short-term scheduler have to switch among the processes that are placed in the ready queue so frequently. That is, if the process is a CPU bound process, lot of the work done by the short-term process. And at the same time, all IO devices are empty. Okay. Generally, if a system is stable, means it uses both the CPU and IO devices. But in this case, most of the CPU is used, but IO devices are almost empty. That means it is not stable. So CPU bound process is not selected. Suppose consider the case of IO bound. If you are selecting a process, suppose if the process are IO bound processes, then what happens? All the processes are placed in the device queue. That is, most of the time they required IO operations. If they required IO operations, means most of the time they are placed in IO queue. That is, IO queue is full, but here ready queue is almost empty. If the ready queue is empty, means the CPU is not utilized effectively. Only IO queues, that is IO operations, are performed. So IO bound process is also not sufficient. Then what to do? The long-term scheduler select a good mix of, remember that point, a good mix of both CPU and IO bound process. Okay. Now from this I will show you one bit that is asked in previous GATE exam. So what is the bit means? For if the process is an IO bound process, then long-term scheduler has dash work, short-term scheduler has dash work. Suppose if the process is an IO bound process, short-term scheduler has no work. Why? Because there is no switching between the CPU and ready queue. All the processes are in the IO queue. So if you are using IO bound process, short-term scheduler have very little work, but long-term scheduler have more work. Why? Because the ready queue is empty. Whenever the ready queue is empty, long-term scheduler places some of the process into the ready queue. Okay. These are the difference between CPU bound and IO bound. Next, what you have to select? You have to select a good mix of both CPU bound and IO bound process. And finally, context switch. So context switch means switching the CPU from one process to another process. That is, simply a process is under execution. If a process is in execution, if a high priority process comes, what happens? Automatically we stop the execution of running process and allocate the CPU to the newly coming process. That is called context switch. That is switching from one process to another process. switching from one process to another process. Remember, during switching, that is during transfer of CPU from one process to another process, what to do? Save state. That is the running process. We save the state of the running process. We save the state of the running process, that is the old process, and allocate the CPU to the new process. And after completion of new process, again whenever the CPU is free, we pick this corresponding process. We pick the old process and state restore. State restore means we continue from execution from where we left off. That is, we left off at some particular situation, we continue the execution from that time, from that particular instruction. Okay, remember, whenever we are moving switch operation, we have to save the state, and after that whenever again we call, we have to restore. That is, from where we have to continue, we have to restore. So that time for switching from one process to another process is called context switch time. Remember, this context switch time specifies a pure overhead. Context switch time specifies a pure overhead. What do you mean by that one? Pure overhead means in this switching time, no CPU operation is performed. At the same time, no IO operation is performed. The only time for switching, that is the only time for swapping, that is, this is the pure overhead. And this context switch time changes from mission to mission, changes from one mission to another mission. That means the context switch time depends on the memory available, the transfer rate, the registers, all those information. Based on this information, the switch time changes from one mission to another mission. This is context switch. Okay, now process scheduling means it contains job queue, ready queue and device queue. From job queue to ready queue, long term scheduler. From ready queue to CPU, short term scheduler. Suppose to reduce the burden on the memory or CPU, perform swap in and swap out, that is medium term scheduler. We have to select a process that is a good mix of both CPU bound and IO bound. Finally, whenever we are switching from one process to another process, we have to save the current state and restore the state whenever we continue the execution. So the transfer time is called context switch time. This is the concepts of process scheduling. Thank you.